Attack of the Killer Tomatoes became a cult classic that spawned sequel after sequel and a cartoon series. But that's not all. They also had a toy line, and we're going to talk about it today. Who remembers Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? This thing growing up in the 80s, I would see this thing on HBO all the time. And then it would seem like it'd just be on those local channels late at night when you're flipping through the TV when you only had like 15 channels at the most. Sometime earlier, you had less than that. This movie was released in 1978, and it's a parody of horror movies of yesteryear, I guess you could say. Kind of like a spoof of B movies. I guess that's more a way to put it. And it's about what the title says it's about. Killer tomatoes. And they attack. That's right, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. If I remember right, some reason, I'm not really sure, these tomatoes become self-aware. And they start trying to kill the humans. And the movie was a small movie for sure. It was made for under $100,000, and it wasn't a big hit or anything. But I think it found its life and became a cult classic thanks to being shown on HBO so much. And about 10 years later, sequels started happening. I guess they saw the success on HBO and everything, or on local television, and sequels followed. The first sequel was 1988 with Return of the Killer Tomatoes, starring George Clooney.
Oh no, it's horrible creatures! It's giant zucchini and man-eating artichokes! Shut up! I'll handle this, alright? Yo, zucchini!
And then in 1991, the tomatoes were back with Killer Tomatoes Strike Back. Kind of like a take on the Empire Strikes Back title, I guess. And in 1992, the final movie. Hey, why don't we reboot this series? We're rebooting everything else nowadays. But anyway, 1992, it came back with Killer Tomatoes Eat France. Ooh, that one seems scary. But there was also a version of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes on the small screen in cartoon form, and it lasted 2 seasons. It ran on Fox Kids starting in September of 1990 and lasted until 1991. That's 2 seasons with 21 episodes. The show's about a mad scientist. I don't know, there's a lot of mad scientists in cartoons back then, named Dr. Green and his associate Igor Smith. And they turn the tomatoes into monsters. However, young kid Chad decides to fight the monster and save the town. There to help Chad is Tara, a human tomato hybrid. She pretends she's a teenager. And then there's FT, which stands for Fuzzy Tomato, and he pretends to be a dog. But I'm not really here to tell you about the cartoon series. I'm here to tell you about the toy line. Mattel-based toys on this cartoon series. Yep, toys. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, this was released a few years after or right during the craze of Mad Balls. Remember Mad Balls? Came out a little bit before that, but everyone was doing their rip-off Mad Balls about this time. And this is Mattel's, at least I think, Mattel's attempt to cash in on some of that Mad Ball money. Because it just seems like what they were going for. You can tell the line's focused more on the tomato, that's more like a mad ball, and the figures are just little bitty plastic figures that you can play along and stand them up and throw your tomato at them, I guess, or something. But Mattel did a line of one that came with the little figures, and then a line that was just was playing out Mad Ball rip-off. So let's look at the one that comes with little figures. And first up, we had Chad with the tomato right there. There's Chad, the hero of the story. As you can see, just a little plastic figure. Comes with a bat to hit those tomatoes. And the bad doctor line's right here with Ketchup. And then there was a fireman. Yep, a fireman that had a mummy tomato with him. Yep, that's right. That tomato wants his mummy. Ooh, it took me about 10 minutes to write that one. Damn, I'm funny. And then there was Igor with a fang tomato. It's a tomato with fangs. And then there was this one right here that came with a ripcord. No little figure there, but you could send this one sailing across the floor. And then there was Ranger Woody with this weird looking tomato. And who can forget Tara? That's right, the hero female of the line. She comes with a missing link tomato. And then it was Whitley White that came with this, I don't know, is this a rotten tomato? And Wilmer came with beefsteak tomato. Beef? Steak? Tomato? What's tomato with this company? What's tomato with this? That's a good one right there. But that was it for the line that came with the little figures. But as I teased, they also did a more Madball line, and these will squirt water right in your face. I guess it'd be cool to put some V8 in it. V8 in it, you could really squirt some tomatoes in people's face. Well, let's take a look at them. Here's the beefsteak one again. Fill it up with water, and it squirts. Then there was this one. Looked kind of like a snake. I don't know what's going on here, but there it is. And then they got the ketchup looking one right here. Look at that green hair. Ooh, that thing is scary. Be careful, it'll squirt in your face. Oh, we all been there, hadn't we? Yes, we have. Now, that's all they released. And you're thinking, well, that was it. That was done. Sure, it's a cult classic movie, but the cartoon series isn't a cult classic. No one talks about that cartoon. Well, that might be true, but can you believe it or not? This toy line's worth some money today. It's hard to believe because most of the toys released in the 90s ain't worth crap. But you can see right here, look at this. On card, in package, sold. That's sold price, $300. Here's another one for $200 and another one for $160. Even out of the package, some of them was running over $100. I know it's crazy. Just the human figure can run you $20, and you can see these right here out of the package are like $30 to $40. It's crazy. It's crazy. Who would have thought? I go to toy shows all the time. I never hear nobody talking about Attack of the Killer Tomato toys. I don't think I ever seen them at a toy show. Maybe that's why they were worth money. Maybe they're rare. But the line didn't last too long. I mean, you had series 1, and then you had the kind of other type of series, the one that squirt water on your face. But it seemed cartoon was finished, the toy line was finished, and seen by the mid-90s, we all moved on from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, I think they were going to do a reboot around 2008 or something. I can't believe they haven't. I think that got canceled last I heard. But I don't know. This franchise is dead, I guess. Next time someone tells you, hey, that Star Wars is dead, you say no. You want to know what a dead franchise is? It's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is a pretty funny B-movie, but if you ask me, I wish they would have made a cartoon and toy line based on Amazon Women on the Moon. Now that's a funny movie.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.